Welcome to Chaos and Coffee. My name is Justin Brown. This is episode 30, Dirty Dirty, or as the Hungarians would say, Spezia, Spezia. Today we have on our panel, of course, our regulars. You guys might as well just have this show eventually when I die. Draco and Darth Tux. What were we just talking about? That's how this always goes.
Things and stuff.
We should probably do like a preface, just in case somebody's watching live right now. Or watching episode 30 and not watching 1, 2, or 3, or 4. I don't know why that would happen. This is chaotic. It's just random conversations. We do it every Sunday around 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join us. Join the conversation by commenting or instant messaging any one of us. People will be dropping in or out throughout the live hangout hosted by Google and YouTube. Also, I don't have any responsibility for what these two fuckers do or say.
I'm the good one. You don't need to worry about me.
If we get banned, it's my fault. I take full responsibility.
Oh, man, that's so funny. Yeah. Hey, I'm the good one.
I never thought I'd say that in my life. I'm the responsible one, yeah.
Yeah, it sounded funny hearing it, actually.
Hey, I'm the one that's represented by a Sith penguin.
I just realized how much Lucas played on the whole Death Knight theme with Darth Vader,
I never considered that, really. I never thought of him as a Death Knight.
He's a dark Jedi, like a Sith, essentially. Yeah. I mean, I guess a Sith could be anything. They could be like an assassin or like a count or whatever. But in his case, definitely in Anakin Skywalker's case, Darth Vader's case, he's a Death Knight. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I'd have to ask Lucas himself, I guess, but I'm pretty sure there's an interview somewhere where he comes to.
It would fit. I mean, even look at his costume; it's very samurai-ish.
He doesn't have any death magic, though. Really?
Well, he's got the Force. I mean, shit, he chokes people from across the room.
There's telekinesis. It's more like a wizard or something, or a sorcerer.
I think the Emperor definitely has some sorcerer properties.
Yeah.
Well, in the expanded universe, the Sith were a race of sorcerers. They just kind of got the Dark Jedi just kind of adopted their
philosophy,
society, and philosophies, yeah, and just call themselves a Sith, but they're not technically Sith.
Oh yeah. I did what you're saying. Holocron crystals, or whatever. They tell us the past.
Right.
Maybe he's more of a battle mage.
No, man. What I mean specifically is the helmet having a skull-like feature, like a lot of. Welcome to Great Delner.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going, man? We're talking Darth Vader being a Death Knight or not,
Oh, of course.
Of course, you know how it is. Random conversation. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderfully. How are you, gentlemen? Or ladies?
No ladies here. You know how it works. We're nerds. There's usually a lady, but the population representation is very low compared to that of the general population.
Agreed.
Yeah. Nerd girls are probably about a good solid 20% of the nerd population at this point, which is up. I mean, which is way up from the 90s, Shout out to nerd girls everywhere. You keep playing those games, girl.
Yeah, nerd girls are hot.
I originally thought that being with a nerd girl would be good, but I found that it wasn't really. You just end up having arguments about who's playing what game, and you always have to find two-player games so you can both play at the same time. And it's better to have separate things that you enjoy in a lot of ways.
I got kind of lucky in that. My girl's a nerd girl, but she's more into the sci-fi movies and that kind of stuff, and not so much into the games.
If it's something you can share, it's good. But a lot of the times, especially just straight up gamer girls and stuff. It can be awkward.
I've tried to get Cheryl to game with me, but she just won't do it.
Oh, you just need to find the right game. I've converted girls before. That's all it takes. You need to find that one game that will draw them in, and
she went on and on and on about Zelda. So I went out and got one of these old Nintendo things. It's got a regular Nintendo slot and a Nintendo 64 slot in it, or not a Super Nintendo. Excuse me, not the Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo. And got her a copy of Zelda, and she played it for about 5 minutes, and that was it.
Huh. Yeah, I think it's mostly the style of game rather than a particular franchise. Not everyone has a style of games. Like if you present like an RPG game to someone who likes first-person shooters, they just won't have a good time at all, really.
Yeah, I think it's finding that game that your companion likes. And again, I don't want to be biased. If you can't find a gamer girl and you're looking for guys, find a gamer guy. And or turn one into one. It's a dark process. You have to stick their soul in a phylactery. But well, you literally find that game, yeah.
She'll do things like if I'm playing Fallout, she'll ask me if I'll play Fallout 3 because she likes to hear Three Dog the DJ.
That's
you like
cool.
that Three Dog? Yeah.
I watched my wife utterly destroy RPGs, like 100% games that aren't supposed to be 100%ed. Like, almost like I don't know, dude, a razor-like focus. Her and her companion character will inevitably, like, in the game in like black ass dragon armor that's like looks like pieces of onyx. And I'm like, why do you just blend in the shadows? You kill everything. What the fuck is going on? She just becomes this like wind of death. It's really nuts to watch. It's scary sometimes. Like really scary. I watch her just basically destroy a video game, and I'm like, oh my god.
It's kind of disheartening sometimes when you convert someone into games and they end up getting better than you. Like, because at first you kind of like you need to let them win a certain percentage of the times, or like just not go sort of. You don't go 100% because then you'll put them off and they'll be like, oh, this just isn't fun. But then it'll get to the point of where like they'll start to notice that you're taking it easy on them. As they start to get better, you'll get a point to where you think, oh god, they took me off guard, and then you start putting 100% in, then you're like, oh, she's getting better than me.
Oh, especially fighting games, yeah. Or any competitive game, like a race game.
Yeah. It's happened to me before.
My son is ultra competitive, like I was at one point in my life.
Yeah.
And so when I play with him, it's a nice mix. I'm playing at my highest ability, and he's either going to lose or he's going to win, and he'll deal with it. I think a good part of sportsmanship is dealing with loss.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise they start to get bitter.
Really bad. Or even when they win, like if they're bitter when they lose, and they're not going to be very good sportsmen when they win either, because they don't have the empathy or sympathy, whatever it is, of the other team. In their consideration, they just
they'll start rubbing it in your face.
Yeah. It's more about enjoying the game. Ultimately, whatever the game is, when the game doesn't have a winning scenario, like when there's no actual 0 point. I'm trying to use the right term here, and I just woke up. Sorry, John Nash, rolling over in your grave. There's a term, zero-sum game, right? When it's not a zero-sum game, like when the end result isn't to have the most points, basically. Or to use all of the resources up. and like real life application of a zero sum game. But like when it's a sustained activity, like when the activity is meant to be sustained, let's say for instance, instead of a competitive sport, a night of dancing, like real out there in the woods, tribal ass dancing, right? It's more about at that point having your body ready, stretched out, well hydrated. You know what I mean? It's the same things as a competitive sport, but at that point we're talking about sustained activity that isn't competitive. That's one example.
Something just for fun. To be honest, I'd put D&D under that same category as well, even though that it's kind of a game and it is kind of well,
you can't win D&D, dude. There's no way to win D&D. I agree. Yeah, there's the way to win is to play it and enjoy your game while you're playing it, and that's the winning aspect of D&D. Are those moments where it got real close and somebody saved the team or saved the day, and you have like these heroic stories that other D&D players can kind of relate to, or these funny little things like the rogue getting beat up by the guardsmen and dragged off to be in the stockades. Those become like funny stories, and that's winning in a very Charlie Sheen type sense,
Yeah, in a strange sense, you can lose, but you can't win. But you can win.
Right, you could die.
Yeah, you can die. But it's more about creating the story.
Yeah, D&D is just more about like Justin was saying, just sustainability, just continuing to play, and it's just adventure after adventure after adventure.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm not sure if I talked to Greg about this. Greg, I've got D&D. I walked into the game store. I wanted to play at the local game shop here in Bakersfield, Otto's Game Shop.
Oh yeah,
and you've been there?
Yeah, Trevor Dustin brought me there once.
Oh yeah, that's one of his regular haunts. I don't go there that much because I might run into him. No, actually we do frequent there a lot, and we went in there to join the D&D league. They actually have D&D leagues now because it's so standardized. You can take your character to like another town and play in that league. So we go to sign up, and they're already maxed out at 7 players. No big deal. And I can walk away, or I go to walk away, and the guy behind the counter goes, "You could DM." And it just like rang in my head like a quest in real life. Like, yes, I could. Yes, I could. So I went home, got the books, and I've got a group online that's playing, and I've got a group of comedians that has yet to form. But Eddie Molina, Brett Hansen, Mike Scott, hoping to get Andrew Boydston, and that'll be the 4, I think. Maybe Richard Estrada, maybe John Hacker.
That'd be a good group.
We're gonna put it on there's gonna be a podcast on. I was talking to Eddie about it. Eddie said CNC presents D&D, like Chaos and Coffee presents D&D, right?
I love it.
I like Cassandra liked that name too. She liked the whole thing of it. It's gonna be funny with comedians because comedians have a way about themselves anyways of busting balls and ribbing on each other for misdeeds or failures, right? And so
if you're gonna do a Chaos and Coffee meets D&D, then Draco and I should be involved.
Absolutely understandable. The CNC presents D&D is just a thing for the podcast of these comedians. You know what I'm saying? There is an online game, right? There is an online game that's happening. It's a thing, which you're totally welcome to. You know what I'm saying? The CNC presents D&D is just a catchy name. You know what I mean?
Just let me know when.
We usually do it Thursday nights. We could. It's one of those things where we just try to schedule it so that everybody can have the time, right? That's one of the biggest issues. If you're watching out there in the world of podcasts and listening to shit, organizing and logistics is very difficult. The comedian game is on Monday nights, and the online game is pretty much an ongoing thing because I'll still instant message people in private, like details about their character or backstory, or when we work on things. It's the test game, as I call it, or the online game, uses lots of things like this Hangout capability, video conferencing, or phone, like a group phone thing. What's that called? Party line. What's that called? Conference call. Fuck, dude, that was weird. Party line. What the fuck year did I go back to? The 90s? Shout out to anybody who remembers party lines, where you'd like call into your town or county's party line to find out where the party was or which club was popping off.
You'd pick up the phone to make a phone call and listen in on the conversations of your neighbors.
Really? Yeah. That's a big part of it. Or like literally, it was the party line. People would like, God, that was a weird days, dude. That was before the internet. Got nostalgic for a second. Try and remember the word conference call. Fuck, dendrites. The way the brain works. Yep. Topics of conversation. Welcome to Chaos and Coffee, where your comments drive the content. My name is Justin Brown, and I am awake. What kind of character would you make, Chuck?
Oh crap, man! I don't know. Man, I haven't played D&D in so long.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like,
I used to play like wood elves. Chaotic Neutral was always my favorite alignment to play, simply because it was, most people considered it the most difficult, but I always felt that it allowed me a lot of freedom. I wasn't bound by the constraints of saying playing, you know, lawful good or lawful evil, you know, that to go to the other extremes. I could be a dick if I wanted to. I could be a nice guy if I wanted to. It just, you know.
Yeah, alignments are a good guiding light or a good moral code to go by. But if chaotic neutral, you can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people over the years tell me, "Oh, that's the most difficult alignment there is to play," and I'm like, "No, it's not. It's the most freest alignment you can play, because you know you can give a guy 500 gold pieces for pointing you to the nearest bar and then slaughter him for his boots on your way out."
Yeah, it's really there's a wonderful series of videos about alignment that I show people who have never played before, called the cat, like basically the cat scenario, right? The kitten or the cat scenario. And it has like how good players react, how neutral players react, and how evil player react to a cat that they come across on the road. And not only is it hilariously funny, but also it's a very like quick way to get your characters, or new players briefed on the alignments. There's also quizzes online that are much like political spectrum tests, where your character ends up on a spectrum. That's kind of a nice way of doing it, is having your player take a quiz or watch those videos, or both.
I might do that. I downloaded like what is it, the Babylon 5 RPG and the Doctor Who RPG.
Oh, right on.
And I think I have the Star Wars one too. And we've discussed playing those several times, but we don't have a game store anywhere near us. And so, you know, buying, you know, the dice and that kind of thing is a little restricted to us right now at the moment. But
I would say that
in lieu of order them online, I suppose.
Yeah. In lieu of supporting a local game store, right? I would honestly, I would check out some of these online vendors that have, at this point, custom dice. You could order something that really is exactly the color and shape that you want. Or, I mean, not shape you want, but you know.
Yeah, no, I had some cool ones. You know,
you order some loaded dice, man. You know what I'm saying? Loaded dice. The dice,
I used to have some really cool ones. You know, that would do the glow in the dark. I had some that looked like marbles. I've had glass ones. Yeah.
and all the books are online as PDFs, and again, not in a pirated way, but in a very legit. Wizards of the Coast has them for cheap in PDF format because they don't have to waste resources on paper.
Yeah, I think that's where I got mine. They were all legitimately obtained.
Yeah, and shoot, I'd recommend running your own game and broadcasting it on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, I'd play Star Wars. Hell yeah. I don't want. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where I'd rather play than have to storytell or DM any given day.
See, I used to love to DM, but I liked creating the stories.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Role playing games are a real. They can be cheap once you make the initial investment of a couple books and some dice. We're essentially talking about the imagination and pencil and paper. And people can get fancy with it, use like Photoshop and like create dungeons and maps with Photoshop, like I was talking about earlier. Also, preface, if you're just tuning in, it's good to try to wake me up. Just, bling me in the morning and say, Justin, are we doing this? And I can go, yeah. And then you get invited onto the show, and then you could talk about random bullshit like tulips or petunias, how your garden's doing. Throwing that out there for our viewers. I always like to invite people to join the show. I like to thank Greg for joining. How'd that show go, Greg?
Which show?
Did that happen? The thing we were talking about? Weren't you doing like a show in your local area, like for a?
That is on March 10th.
On March 10th, right on.
If anyone's
coming up here pretty soon.
If anyone's going to be in the Central Ohio area on March 10th, please come on out to the historic Midland Theater in beautiful Newark, Ohio, for the fundraiser for the Mental Health America of Licking County. I will be performing a 15-minute set, and there's an auction and a musical act to follow.
Nice. That sounds like it's a good cause too.
It is. It's going to be great.
Okay, that's March 10th in Newark at the Midland Theater.
That's right.
Right on.
Thank you for allowing that shameless plug.
Fuck, dude. Plug. Bro, I'm just short of getting hair plugs. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for Joe Rogan having the failed strip of his hair stapled to the front of his head, I'd be doing hair plugs. As it is, I'm borrowing your hair, much like this is an episode of Arrested Development. Give Pop your hair. You never watched
at least you're owning it, you're not wearing a rug and that kind of thing, try to hide the fact that you're balding.
Dude, I'm literally brushing my hair like this to show the thing. Like I'm trying to show the thing off. Like, see, I survived this long. See my hair receding? That means I'm an old timer.
That's right.
I love aging.
When I was going gray, I had all the girls up there at the college going, "Oh, we should dye your hair. You can get a young girlfriend." I was like, "No, man, I'm gonna go gray naturally, gracefully. I'm gonna own this shit."
Yeah,
it's a sign of wisdom, a sign of years,
Fuck, I hope I look like Jean-Luc Picard someday at the United Federation of Planets. Engage. No, it'll probably be like this. So it's been like this since I was like, I'm not shitting you, dude. Like in my 20s, it's like this. This is where I'm at. Diet, exercise, wear it high. Like the talk show hosts, they go like this. They just like bring it up. They bring it way up, right? And they just like spike it. Like they have these like giant fucking hairdos that are up here. Just watch a TV, like a normal television show, and you'll be like, oh my God, what the fuck are they doing with people's hair? Everybody's doing the Conan O'Brien.
Oh my God, I was just reminded of that Cheech and Chong movie. Crap, I don't remember which one it was. When they were driving across the desert and stripping the car down to pay for gas and stuff.
Oh God!
They played both themselves, Cheech and Chong, and the Arab brothers. And the one was going bald, and he got hair plugs, and he kept telling the guy, "Oh yeah, I give you my hairpiece. I don't need my hairpiece anymore, so I give them to you."
Yeah, that's a good example of two cats that did it. Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong aged with grace. I'm thinking George Carlin, where George Carlin would just like have a ponytail and be bald, like Benjamin Franklin style. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, my uncle did that when he went bald. He grew a really long ponytail because that's all he had was just, you know, hair on the back of his head. So he just grew out a ponytail down to his ass and wore that for years.
Yeah, I had an uncle that did that. Not like in my family, like married into my family uncle who had like the professional mullet type thing, or like, you know, he's losing his hair, but it was long in the back. Like my aunt liked to, I guess at this point, I can realize as an adult, she liked to play with his hair, I guess, you know?
You know, have fun with it while you have it, I guess, right?
Yeah, my wife loves to play with what I have left, you know? Oh, goodness.
I just want to add that going grey and being old doesn't necessarily mean that you're wise.
That is very true. That
like
is very
Stephen
true.
Hawking should just pop in. You know what I mean? At this point, Stephen Hawking should be like, hey, you crusty bastard. That's a guy I forgot. Gray, old, and not wise. Stephen.
Yeah, that is very true.
Is it Stephen Hawking? Like a PH?
That was a clusterfuck last time.
It was.
He's a terrible person.
He's a terrible person.
Isn't he? My God, man.
Oh, God, that guy. I can't even type his name right. Oh, well, I guess that's a sign. Stephen.
Yeah, it's a sign. Yes, nature's telling you something.
It is. Yeah. Oh, God. He's still alive. You know, that's something we could say for him, I guess.
Yeah, he's off sacrificing babies or whatever he does in his spare time.
Yeah, he's on his path to becoming a full lich, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Why does that not surprise me?
Okay, for the sake of just beating this D&D horse to death right now, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk about why I like being a player and not a DM or like not a dungeon master, right? As a player, there's a bit of like surprise, like, oh, I don't know what the fuck that thing is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have no idea what that creature is, right? Like, that's mystery. Like, there's a mystery element. Like, wow, there's really adventure in the dungeon and shit like that because you don't know what the creatures are, right? When you're a DM, you have to like fucking look up the ecology and lifestyle of like a fucking minor demon just to, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, never mind.
Let's start improvising things on the spot, and they're like, "Oh, look, I've just created this entire narrative, and the players have just gone right by it and completely ignored all the content that I've just created."
That's why I'm not creating a lot of content. I'm just using modules that are in the top 10 D&D modules of all time. In fact, the last module that the characters will have experienced, the players will go through, right, is the module that the kids are playing in Stranger Things season 1.
I got around to watching that yet.
Dude, when I figured that out, I was so fucking pleased with myself. I'm literally like, yay, Easter egg, my brain. Because, yeah, those kids had played so much goddamn D&D that they probably had like very high level, like in the higher teen level characters. And that, like what the director was trying to show on the sly was that those kids had spent so much time together. I mean, those guys were buddies for like at least 4 years or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably like all through middle school, those kids played D&D together. Yeah.
Still on the same campaign.
Yeah. They were fighting the Demogorgon, which is like literally like a fucking made by Gary Gygax himself, end level campaign, a module. So like when your characters were like done with everything else, that was the end cap. Like, good job, you played D&D, and you played a module made by the guy who made D&D. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hardcore right there.
It's pretty fucking hardcore. And I didn't catch it when I was watching Stranger Things because, again, I had that player mentality where I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I was like, oh, I know they're playing D&D. I know that's like a D&D based on the books and blocks they have, right? I could like place that, right? Like second edition. But I didn't know what like module they're playing. Now that I've been studying and having to make this adventure, getting to make this adventure, I realized, man, those kids were hardcore. Like real hardcore. Those kids, that fucking scenario doesn't stand a chance even season 2. Those kids are going to beat ass. Those kids are I think that the producer and director was trying to show that those kids were definitely fucking experienced campaigners, that they were just going through their real life experience. Stranger Things, great show, guys. Check it out. It's like the movie High 8. Is that what it's called?
Hateful Eight.
No, not Hateful Eight. There's a movie that's like J.J. Abrams where it's a bunch of kids. It's basically E.T. rebooted.
I know what you mean. I can't remember what the name of it is either. Like,
I think it's High 8. I think it's High 8 or something like that. It's not 8mm. That's a totally different movie, kids. Do not rent 8mm.
Super 8. It's called Super 8.
Super 8.
Super 8, yeah. That was a great movie. It's like Super 8, the series. Stranger Things is like Super 8. Very similar.
Pretty sure I watched that one.
Oh, I loved it. I watched it in the theater. My wife went to like, I don't know, a seminar or something like that down south, and I went to this movie. Oh, yeah, it was great. Or whenever that came out. Years ago. J.J. Abrams, you're not always bad, bud. Don't worry, J.J. We love you.
That's a good plug. Good
I know.
Yeah, you're not always terrible.
JJ, I did love you until your recent comments where you attacked the fans of Star Wars.
That cat is
Now
never
I think
gonna
you're
watch
just
this
a
video.
dick that needs to go to hell away.
Okay. Those are the thoughts and feelings of the panel.
Yeah, and to me, I will separate someone from their art from the person. Like, I can really hate the person, but enjoy the things they create. Yeah, but
Like Michael Jackson.
he didn't do anything. I don't
Michael
believe.
Jackson did nothing wrong.
No, it did nothing wrong, bro. Yeah, what sort of parent do you need to be to keep sending your kid there after some funny shit happens, and like it just so happens that all of this comes out when he's about to like drop some bombs and knowledge bombs of what's been going on behind the scenes. Like, nah, I don't believe it. I don't believe any of the stuff that came out about him, to be honest. So.
Okay, forget all the rumors about him, okay, and the various trials that occurred, right?
He was being poisoned by his doctor.
He was on some cocktails to go to sleep. Again, Michael Jackson was being prepared to be a lich. Or some type of undead bard, you know? Yeah. That's obvious by the movie. If you ever check out the video Thriller, kids, that was before they had special effects like CGI. So Michael Jackson really was a zombie. Okay.
Well, any of his videos, man, they were all about him changing into something different.
That's true.
I mean, he started out a black male and ended up a white female.
Well, that's how magic works, kids. You can become anything you want to be, including a white female,
with enough money.
I wouldn't pick a white female. If I had enough money, I would just go like Kill Bill style, where I just had like a deadly chick from every single point of the earth that were able to infiltrate and be spies and shit, like a killer assassin squad. That'd be dope to have.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, but not necessarily changing my gender. Sorry, I'm not about that life. Oh, on that note.
It's just body modification. You can't change your gender.
I'm not too worried about it. Like, it's one of those things where most of the transgender people I know are pre-op. You know what I mean? So they still have their toys with them. They still have the family jewels.
Yeah, that's one thing that really bothers me, to be honest, because as far as I'm concerned, trans means that you've actually transitioned from one gender to the other, and you are
they're in transition. They're in transition.
Well, I imagine myself as this today, this moment. Like, no, I don't. Until you've made that commitment, I don't even consider them trans, to be honest. If you still have your original parts, then as far as I'm concerned, then they're whatever gender their genitalia dictated. I might call them like I don't really use pronouns at all, to be honest, because I don't address people by name, or I would just be like, you. Just start talking to them. But yeah,
I agree with you.
Okay. Okay, so
well, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you know, what bits do you have, male or female?
By definition, though,
I guess what you are. I mean,
if you've decided to transition, right? If you've made that choice, there are various stages to the whole thing, right? Like, I'm not exactly an expert on this, but from what I've observed, there is a period of time where it's very much a closet activity where the person might put on makeup or dress like that in the privacy of their own home. Then it gets to the point where they go out on the town dressed like that once they're confident enough. I've voice coached people. So I mean, like I have a little bit of experience with this as far as helping transitioning males sound more female. So
imagine it as D&D or any game, though. You don't get the prize until you've completed the quest, right? And the prize at the end of it is getting to the gender that you want to be,
that you most closely identify with. Well, assuming that's their goal. You know, some people's goal is to be able to just go outside and present themselves as their female persona, and to the point of
there's a cross-dresser.
That's a cross-dresser or a trap, right? But I like the term trap. But I think that's I think that's one of those things that people will own it one day. Like, yo, trap. What's up, trap? How you doing?
It's a thing like that. There's the distinctions that I make anyway. If you're a male, for example, and you dress as a female, then you're a trap. And if you've like made the transition, then you're trans. There's the sort of the line that I make. I mean, that's whatever genitals they have. That's how I see it. It's simpler, you know.
I go by external persona. So, like, if I run into one of my friends who's in transition or is a trans, right, and they're in their male persona, I address them as that identity, and I use the proper pronouns for that identity, so as not to out them, right? And then if they're in their female persona, again, accordingly, I will address them as their female name and use the female pronouns, again, not to out them. And then the funny part is when you walk up to somebody and you give them a hug and they're in full drag and they're telling you, I'm so-and-so tonight. And it's like, no shit. I love you. I love you so much, lady, but you don't need to tell me when you're dressed like a lady that you're a lady tonight. You know what I mean? Fuck.
No, man, I love humans. Like, it's almost as if they've got dissociative identity disorder at that point.
There's all types of human beings have all types of issues.
That's what I was thinking.
Dissociative identity disorder could be there's so many different things. Okay, nowadays when you talk about nowadays everybody wants to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they live. Just a bunch of gibberish and motherfuckers act like they forgot about Dre. Like, honestly, there's each one of these things that people have. There's a whole umbrella. There's a whole category of things underneath a dissociative identity disorder, right?
No, that's under disassociation. Like, so dissociative identity disorder is what's commonly confused as schizophrenia, where schizophrenia is actually a break in reality, not multiple personalities. Dissociative identity disorder is what used to be called multiple personality disorder, but then it was moved under the category of disassociation. But a lot of people don't even believe that it exists to begin with, or at least not as it's presented, as in like multiple distinct personalities that aren't aware of each other. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience with that, Drago?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not asking, necessarily are you a multiple yourself, but you seem to know a lot about it. And the only other people that I've met that know as much as I do about it are people who, like myself, have had experience with it.
I've had experiences with it, known people and brushed quite closely to it, to the point of where I had to start looking it up to understand what was going on and what the sort of official consensus was and where things were. That, and I have one of my hobbies is just learning about psychology and things like that, because I like to know about how personalities work, and because I'm interested in AI as well, and it's just part of the umbrella of my interest, I guess.
That's cool. I was married to a multiple at one point, and dated another one after.
It's stressful, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is very stressful.
I'm sorry I laugh so profusely. I know the backstory on things, and so like when people ask each other questions, I just laugh because like one, I guess nervous laughter, but then also like just knowing, like.
Yeah, we're
sorry. I didn't mean to
all this. So
yeah, I didn't mean to laugh. So
it's the DM laugh of like
the earnest laugh of I'm gaining this perspective where I know too much, I guess, and it just leads to very humorous perspective of life in general.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
There's also a certain aspect of like switching of script that occurs between either people who are aware or aren't aware, right, of phasing in and out of personas or switching personas willingly when they go into different environments or whatever, right? That I think we could all relate to as humans. People are themselves at home, and then they're kind of a different person in public or in work, right? Mm-hmm. I think for just like all known mental ailments, if you will, or the shit that's in the American Medical Journal or whatever the fuck, right? Psychiatric Society. These things are simply an extreme of a dynamic or a mechanic in our brain that occurs naturally. So our ability in a tribal environment or like a pre-modern environment of actually wearing masks, like a lot of tribal society literally had masks for ceremonies. And then the metaphorical mask that we wear just in public versus in private or at home, or when we take when we take a dip into the mass collective and we lose our identity completely, like when you join a forum that doesn't acknowledge names.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I may have had experience in that as well.
That's why I really laugh so hard, because in a collective where there are no identities or names, it can be a bit disorientating.
Yeah, but I went into the collective at a point of where I didn't really have a solid identity anyway, so it wasn't really a decline for me. It was like oh, you guys are on the same level, okay then. Yeah. It was a starting point. I was already there at that point in time, so
I was trying to go for some egoless shit anyways, and I was really into infiltrating organizations, right? Yeah. And mapping them, basically. And so, there was a whole detachment of it being a hobby, I guess. And then it was just enjoyable to be egoless for a time,
It was interesting to see how it functioned as well, and the sort of power that collectives have, and how people act in sort of large sort of groups. I just think it got corrupted over time, and
oh hell yeah,
it became a dead meme. Like I got to the point where I wanted it to be gone. At least like I wanted it to reverse back to how it was before it started to get out of control and people's ego got pumped way too high, and it was like, whoa, we can do everything. The movement just cannibalized itself, really, to be honest. It just wasn't enjoyable anymore.
I blame Warner Brothers.
Why? Oh,
not the corporate entity, just Wacko, Yakko, and Dot. I blame them in general for the whole thing. Because when people want to know why Anon fell, it was because of Wacko, Yakko, and Dot.
I don't know. I think it was our fault. We did it. It was no one else's fault.
It was Palco and Draco. Yeah,
I have to agree with that too.
It was people having egos. It was a lot of cliques formed. There were like all these different cliques that formed, and they all had names. There was these Russian guys who rigged the election. That was a real down. That was a bummer.
Yeah, I don't like to make judgment calls until I have like enough evidence, to be honest, or unless I've seen both sides or all sides. And
dude, that corruption you're talking about, the corruption you're talking about, isn't like an increase in social justice warriors in that group. It was a definite drive towards the for lack of a better term, the right, and identity politics or identity culture. Like a lot of the like in response to an ID-less society or an id-less society or an egoless society or whatever we're trying to achieve, right? People went towards a name or a clique or like different, God, what was the term, dude? Help me out. It's been a long time ago. Sex.
Well, man, selfishness and corruption is just a part of human nature.
But I don't think being selfish is a bad thing, though, whereas corruption is.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that it isn't, but I mean, you can't have an egoless society because everybody's, going to want to set themselves apart from everyone else in some way.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good thing either, because the individual transcends groups. Like it's a development process that you start off essentially with your family, and then you start associating with groups, and then you transcend that group to become an individual over time. So I don't think getting rid of your ego is why I don't like the new age sort of movements and the sort of ego death thing. Like I don't think it's a good idea it's just people lose their individuality, and then they just become part of a group where they don't really have a say, and the most malicious person or people are the ones that can drive that group to whatever direction they want to, and the rest of the people just follow along like sheep. So
that's essentially it. You had, oh gosh, should be in a book somewhere. I'm pretty sure there's a book that I just, kids go out and buy Pam, whatever the fuck Pam's last name is. Pam, Pam.
Pam something, that guy.
That chick that wrote about this, so I couldn't write about it. Whatever. She has a book.
Go read some stuff.
That's how we're gonna do non-promos. Like, yeah, there's a person, like he wrote something and it's out there. You can go buy it. Fuck it. Who cares?
Thanks to our sponsor, some company somewhere that does a thing. Go buy it. That's my next thing.
To be honest, if a product is good enough, and this isn't my idea, this a wonderful comedian named Bruce Gray told me this joke. It's not even a joke, it's a real life encounter. Basically, a salesman came to his door, right? Bruce Gray's door. And the salesman said, "Are your parents home?" And now keep in mind, he lives with roommates, but he very much lives not with his parents, but with a shit ton of roommates, right? So he just goes right into the role of pissed off with this guy. Do you know what I'm saying? Like right away, like, oh, you don't want to talk to me? You want to talk to my parents? Okay. And so this guy's trying to sell something like a vacuum or whatever. And Bruce goes, "Listen, if your product was good, you wouldn't have to go door to door to sell it. I'd go pick it up from the store because I needed it."
Not everyone's aware of brands, though. There's plenty of things.
Killed the guy's name. I just killed him. Yeah, it's not even a brand thing. Like if the product is needed, right? There is no marketing that's needed. Like if marketing or even salesmanship is all about like, I don't want to say tricking, but definitely promoting the product or trying to get somebody to buy the product. If the product is truly desired or truly needed, it's going to be in your house already or at the store ready for you to fucking go pick up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a product in itself. Bearing in mind, I have worked in marketing before, and it is very much about tricking people. Like when you just stop yourself, no, it is actually about tricking people into buying things. But as far as marketing not being needed, like I don't like marketing. It is very corrupt. But as far as marketing goes, like there's going to be multiple brands that sell essentially the same product, and they need to sort of put their own brand forward over the other things and say, well, our brand's better than these brands because of whatever reason. So there is some sort of need for it in a sense, but because to have a functioning capitalism, you need competition, because then they're going to constantly try and outdo each other and drive prices down and all the rest of it, you know. So otherwise, you'll have one product to rule them all, which
right, yeah,
is,
I think there should be competition. I like that there'd be competition for the reason you said. Price seems to be better for the consumer when there's competition
and quality,
and then also quality and also innovation.
But price doesn't always or necessarily mean anything. I mean, there are a lot of products out there that are really expensive, so people think, oh yeah, you know, that's, you know, going to have the highest quality or whatever, and really, no, it's crap.
Well, I agree. Yeah, that's what we're saying. That competition allows for the consumer to find a product that's comparable, oftentimes with the exact same ingredients as the name brand or high-end product. You can find a generic solution. Fuck, a lot of times you can just read the ingredients and make it yourself. I love that part about life. Like, you can like find out what something is. When I found out that hummus was basically like garbanzo beans and some spices and some oil, that's how you make hummus. Like, why go buy an expensive like 5-ounce little tub of hummus when you can make like, fuck, dude, a shit ton of hummus for cheap?
I'll make my own hummus with blackjack and hookers.
That robot really is one of my favorite. Bender's probably one of my favorite characters in the entire animated universe I've ever. It's just, he's so.
So you're saying you want to kill all the humans?
It's not a bad idea.
No, come on.
When he's given like a planet, he's given like that whole planet at one time, right? And he literally makes like this statue that shoots fire out of his eyes and goes, "Remember me, remember me."
I was just recounting the one where he and Fry are sharing an apartment, like that tiny little room. Bender goes to sleep, starts mumbling, "Kill all humans." So Fry wakes him up because he freaks out. And then Bender goes back to sleep and starts mumbling again. He goes, "Hey, sexy mama, wanna kill all humans?"
Yeah, I love him. Good character.
Bender Bending Rodriguez.
That's his full name.
That's his full name. Which reminds me, does anyone here happen to know the name of Speedy Gonzalez's cousin?
Slowpoke Rodriguez.
That's right.
Hello, my name is Slowpoke Rodriguez. Have you seen my cousin, Speedy Gonzalez?
Yeah, there was like a compilation feature length thing where there was like, it was just a compilation of cartoons, and it was like basically hosted by Speedy Gonzalez and his cousin. And like it would just basically like be them on this island dealing with some genie that like turned one of their burritos into or their nose into a burrito. God, I don't know why I have that memory. Ugh. Oh God. Warner Brothers, I blame you.
You blame Warner Brothers for a lot, don't you?
I'm just gonna say that for a while until it catches on. Every year or so I have a catchphrase, and then I just say it a bunch, and then
I'll have a competing catchphrase, which will be personal responsibility.
Oh, okay.
Can't wait for Taco Bell to.
Oh God, don't say that. Nobody wants to take personal responsibility. Shit. Man.
Exactly. That's why I'll use it. It'll be an eternal catchphrase that no one will want to listen to, and they'll immediately run away from.
I mean, heaven forbid you do something and have to take responsibility for it. Crap, man.
So, Justin, when Taco Bell introduces their horchata, are you going to take some royalties for that?
Nope. I don't think that'll ever happen, dude. Taco Bell creates all kinds of wacky food content, right? Starburst slushies and nacho fries, right? But they have not figured out what AM/PM, the gasoline it's a gas station, man. It's a AM/PM. Check them out. They're really awesome. They have horchata, right? So it's like, how can a gas station have horchata when Taco Bell, I almost said Mexican restaurant. That's just silly. Any Mexican restaurant has horchata. I haven't said that in a long time. I really don't have an outro anymore.
And horchata. So is that a burrito or a taco?
Oh.
I have this thing with Mexican cooking where everything is either wrapped in a soft tortilla, i.e. a burrito, or served on or in a hard one, i.e. a taco.
Oh my goodness. Okay, horchata, man. I will, dude. Oh gosh, if you come out here, or if I can get horchata into Oklahoma, I'll try to do it. They don't have it in Texas. They must have horchata in Texas, Greg.
Surely, I would think they do, especially along the border. They don't even accept American money down along the border.
I drive through Texas. I really don't stop. I've stopped at like one of those Texas steakhouses, the Big Texan. I mean, I do stop, but I'm okay. Anyhow, horchata is a rice-based drink that has cinnamon and I'm gonna assume vanilla and probably like some type of sweetener like sugar or honey, and it's good as fuck. Like it's good.
That sounds like my mother used to make something very similar to that. She called breakfast rice. It was basically just white rice with some milk, sugar. Crap, I don't know. I think she put a little vanilla extract in it even.
Okay, so imagine straining out the rice now, right? Like, so you ate all your rice and you have that bowl left over.
Yeah, right? Yeah, just the juice.
They sell that. Okay, oh, wow. In California, in Mexican restaurants, like authentic Mexican restaurants, and again, at a gas station called AM/PM, which are like, God, what the fuck do they have in Oklahoma? It's like an AM/PM. You guys have AM/PMs, don't you? No, they have a. God dang it, dude! I haven't been to Oklahoma in so long.
I don't think so.
God dang it! What's the equivalent? It's a stop and go. What the fuck? Come and go.
Yeah, I think they have them in Washington State.
Oh, I know they do, but okay. Anyways, regardless,
this gas. So I'm familiar with them.
I know, but there's one in Oklahoma, like in that I used to go to all the goddamn time. That's basically their equivalent of an AM/PM, called a Come and Go.
Oh yeah, Come and Go.
Okay, it's like a Come and Go, dude. Okay, and God, that's the weird. Oklahoma's so weird. It's Come and Go, spelled with a K. Everybody, KUM, and go, right?
Yeah.
It's
always thought it sounded like a good name for a bordello.
It'd be a great name for a bordello. It'd be a great name for like a website that served up the same type of content that we're talking about here. We're all thinking of, yeah. But it's a ridiculous name for a fucking store. It's KUM and go. Anyways, AM/PMs are like those out here, right? And they have horchata, which is ridiculous that this like gas station has horchata, and Taco Bell, of all fucking restaurants, like the one that survives the restaurant wars and Demolition Man, right, doesn't have horchata. And I ranted about it for quite some time, a year, maybe my first year and a half of doing comedy. It was like my outro. I'd say, my name's Justin Brown, buy your horchata at Taco Bell. I don't do that anymore, Greg. I do stuff like, my name's Justin Brown, get your shit together before the magnetic pole flip.
I love that one. That's awesome.
There you go.
We'll all be doomed when it happens. What's the point?
We'll survive it. We've survived it before. The point is, we'll go into like D&D real life mode. You know what I mean? Like crossbows and machetes at dawn.
Yeah, we'll be back in the Stone Ages.
That sounds fun.
I don't believe humans have ever gone through a polar shift. And
Oh yeah,
Oh, sure we have.
yeah, we have.
now.
It just didn't affect us, and we probably didn't even notice it because we didn't have technology as we know it today back then.
I think some civilizations. Oh gosh. Okay, so
Hang on,
God.
hold on. The last one was hundreds of thousands of years ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Humans were not around.
What? Okay, so they keep pushing back when humans are around, right? So I believe it's like 13 million at this point.
I don't know, man. You look at the ancient Sumerian or Egyptian accounts, and especially those two,
Fuck,
and
the
they
Aztecs were
had
trying to
records
prepare
that
for
went back hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah,
so they're the basics of their civilization. Was
If
there.
you take the myth, if you take just like the flood myth, for example, right? That's a great example of human reckoning of a similar incident occurring, right? Or you take any of the Native American stories where they talk about the worlds, like the mud world, the wood world, and the modern world. Like they were keeping track of at least 3 of these types of shifts, and then the Aztecs were literally trying to make a calendar to keep track of the next one that would occur. And then we all kind of YOLO'd, haha, 2012 came and went, and it didn't happen. When in reality, it's been happening since like 1880. We're currently in the middle of the magnetic shift. Look up the poles and their movements over the last couple of decades. I'm not shitting you guys here. So people can like say that factories or volcanoes create a bunch of carbon emissions. Big fucking deal. When this thing rolls over on its side and France becomes the new North Pole, and let's say some fucking tropical island becomes the new South Pole.
So clone those Linux repositories, kids.
Definitely, yeah, you want to back up your Wikipedias. Definitely clone some Linux repositories. Figure out some way to use solar cells to run computers, kids.
I don't know, man. That anything electronics is going to be fried.
Okay, the latest one.
We'll have to start all over.
You could put it in a Faro cage. You could paint a room with like lead-based. This is really fucked up to say, but a lead-based paint, right? And it'll act like a Faro cage in that room. In a Faro cage, look it up, kids.
Ground it.
Yeah, and ground it, and rig it up with some copper wires. Really scare the neighbors. I think humans will recover. I think humans are a very versatile species because of this happening even before our reckoning. There's something that definitely drove us out of our normal way of being in nature, right? There's definitely some type of external force guided or changed the evolutionary path of man as a primate, so that we are a tool-wielding, language-using species, and we'll still regain that ability. Again, if we all don't die. I mean, like if it doesn't just wipe out the whole fucking species.
Okay, I was mistaken earlier when I said it was hundreds of thousands of years ago. A brief, complete reversal, known as the Last Champ event, occurred only 41,000 years ago during the last glacial period. So yes, humans would have been around for that. However, as we were talking about before, our electronics were not around for that.
Fuck no. Yeah, electronics are going to go away, guys. That's definitely unless people preserve them. Maybe oh god, I almost said maybe the U.S. government has something that can help.
Well, it's not just the electronics, man. I mean, yeah, you can preserve the iPhone and a few computers and whatever, but the electrical power grid is going to be gone. So once your battery is dead, you're screwed.
And that can happen any given day, even without the reversal. We could hit a solar flare or some type of cosmic radiation burst from a supernova can hit us and wipe out our tech, So we should enjoy the hot showers while we can,
Yep. Oh, yeah. Man. That book was eye-opening.
Should definitely learn.
I forgot that I let you borrow.
Should definitely go out and learn how to make fire, spend some time camping, learn how to hunt with things, bows and arrows.
Learn
how to make a spear, flint knap.
Out of all my comedic friends, 2 of them like we're like I have this. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to brag. Like it's Anchorman. I have various leather-bound books, but I have this small library, a modest little library of books, right? That I moved out to the front room, right? So, long story short, two of the comedians asked for like to borrow books. I had all these books up here, right? Or maybe I like recommended a book to them. So I gave Craig this one that's literally from like a scientist for the U.S. government that's like warning against these possible scenarios that would wipe out civilization, and like not just one, but like multiple scenarios, right? Oh God. Okay.
Scenarios. You got like computer viruses. You've got like human viruses. The big one, the scary one, was what we're talking about now. If you ask me, anyway. And then, like the other crazy one, like you talk about super bugs, like super viruses that could infect humans. Like if you think about it, if 10% of the human population needs to go to the hospital, we're fucked. Thoroughly fucked. Because we don't have that many hospital beds. Like your average hospital is about 50% occupied right now, and if it goes to twice as many, that's 100% occupied, and that's nowhere near the amount you'd need if there were, suddenly a tremendous disease outbreak. Which we're lucky we've gotten this far.
Yeah, there are a few places where I'm really concerned. Like when they mention that place in a disease outbreak, there's a few places where I'm really concerned, and those are Madagascar and Iceland. I'm sorry, yeah, Iceland, yeah, because those places are some of the most those are like isolated areas, right? As far as countries, like they have very few ways in. Like you like have an airport or you have a seaport, So when they have a substantial outbreak, like you were saying, it's hard for them to distribute the load of patients to the hospitals. It's not like they can just go somewhere else. They're on an island, both those nations. I guess another one would be like, gosh, goodness, Puerto Rico. If Puerto Rico got anything right now due to the conditions that are going on in Puerto Rico.
Trump would be there with paper towels.
Jeez.
Yeah, hey, my girlfriend's Puerto Rican, so don't get me started on that crap, man. That shit pisses me off.
We had that episode. You could keep. I mean, we could keep having that episode till the power comes back on in Puerto Rico. Yeah, everybody. I'm pretty sure who has any type of compassion in their heart feels for Puerto Rico and is pissed at, quite frankly, just the lunacy of Trump. Like maybe that's not the word because it's more consistent than just the moon cycle, I guess.
He hasn't done anything for Texas or Louisiana or those other states either. But the difference is they're connected to the mainland, so they're at least able to rebuild themselves. And Puerto Rico doesn't have that option.
The whole thing that keeps ringing in my head keeps playing back in my head is where he's loading a truck. He's in Puerto Rico and he's loading a truck with supplies, or they're giving him supplies to like load into this truck. Perfect photo opportunity, can't fuck it up. And he hands the supplies to the guy driving the truck instead of putting it in the truck bed. You know what I'm saying? That right there is just one of those disconnects. Like, yeah, throwing paper towels, that's really arrogant. That's really arrogant and it's fucked up. But like handing the gear but supplies to the driver of the truck rather than putting it in the truck bed just shows that like Trump's never really worked.
This really minor.
I mean, people tend to forget that he inherited billions. He never had to do any kind of honest, real work in his entire life.
Yeah, but you put it in the truck bed. It's like really. I mean, like it'd be like handing the. I don't even know. There's no analog, I guess. It's handing the driver the gear.
I just want to say I don't share any of these views. I'd like to actually be able to get into America.
Okay, well, on that note, we shouldn't just Trump bash too bad. I'm pretty sure the light's going to come on here soon. When this door opens, the episode is over type thing.
We'll get ourselves flagged as fake news.
The thing is, man, at this point, I kind of have, like I was saying earlier, I really haven't been watching unless it's something that this guy Robert Mueller releases. Like when he indicts somebody or somebody pleads guilty, then I pay attention. Otherwise, I just kind of go, yeah, yep.
I can't be bothered with the arguing anymore. I got so sick of it. It's such a divisive issue. And to be honest, I'd rather everyone just went back to sleep and carried on worrying about stupid things like what some pop idol's doing on the TV. And it's like, well, look, just politics isn't for you. You don't have a clue what's going on behind the scenes. You're not educated enough to have an opinion. Just go back into your hole and worry about your own life and just leave politics down to the professionals. Jesus Christ. Like,
That's literally our closing note.